Hari Om. Welcome you all to this Ola Sanskrit Sahitya-rasa series. And I am meeting you all after a gap of, say, 2.5 months. So we have been seeing the dramas of Mahakavi Bhasa, and especially the one-act plays we saw, 4 of them. And now I thought, let us break the monotony. And there was a demand to start Kalidasa as well, Kavikula Guru Kalidasa. So here I am with Kalidasa. Before starting Kalidasa, his Aradhya Devata, Saraswati, who blessed him in abundance. Let me invoke Goddess Saraswati. Ya Devi Sita Pankaja Sanavara Sinakshamala Kara Veena Jhankriti Nashta Sarva Jadata Smera Prafullanana Ya Vakyartha Pada Pramana Vibhava Ya Sarva Bhashatmika Tam Vacha Madhidevatam Bhagavatim Vande Sada Bharatim. And the famous shloka of Raghuvansha with which he starts is Aradhya Devata, Lord Shiva. Vagartha viva sampruptau Vagartha pratipattaye Jagatah pitarau vande Parvati Parameshwarau. Parvati Parameshwarau or Parvati Parameshwarau. See, you split the words and you get the beauty of not only Parvati and Parameshwara, that is Parvati and Shiva, Gauri Shiva, but you also get Rameshwarau, Parvati Pa, that is Shiva, and Rameshwara is Vishnu. So in a very same verse, he is praising both Shiva and Vishnu. What better amalgamation of these two, sects who are like in conflict or strife with each other, right? So we will see many more such, nuances from the verses of Kalidasa. Who is this Kalidasa? There are stories and stories and stories. Normally, the Sanskrit poets don't write anything about themselves. I have penned it down. This is my work, We here now, we want everything to be known by our name. We have that aspiration, but ancient Indian poets never aspired for name and fame. They are Kriti Shesha. They are their Yashakaya, their Yasha. And there is no Jara Maranajam Bhayam Tesham Yashakayeshu. So there is no Bhaya of Jara or Mrityu. They don't age, they never die. So Kalidasa has become immortal through his kritis, through his compositions. It is said that Kalidasa, you all may be knowing the stories, but for those who don't know the stories, it's always good to have stories, because stories, though they are fiction at times, they are fabricated at a later time, they nonetheless, highlight the importance and greatness of that poet. Stories won't be woven around you and me. Stories would be woven around only the great people, right? So there is some stuff in those stories. It is said that Kalidasa was a dull person, He was a fool. And the kingdom where he stayed, the princess of that kingdom, she happened to be the daughter of some Sharadananda or Sharada Deva king. Her name was Vidyottama. Uttama Vidya Yasyaha. She was a Vidushi, a well-versed, an intelligent person, and she was an expert in all the Shastras known to all. And she had vowed that she would marry only a person who would defeat her in Shastrartha. And unfortunately, the king and the ministers, howsoever hard they tried, they could not find a person who would be able to defeat this Vidyottama. They were so tired, Then the king said to the Amatya, Why don't you bring a person? I want to get rid of this daughter of mine. She is not getting married and all, So the minister went on a search and he saw a person who is seated on a branch of a tree and cutting the same branch. Then he said, there can't be another bigger fool than this one. So they caught hold of him. Okay. But then how she will marry him? Then they created a band, a group of experts in every Shastra, Kama Shastra, Nyaya Shastra, Vedanta, Veda, Mimamsa, Vaisheshika, this, that, and he was, posed as their guru. He was a very handsome person. So they dressed him like a guru with a dhoti, veshti and angavastram and all that with a nama tilaka. And he comes in the court with a group of all these experts in different Shastras. And he's presented, oh, he is a guru, but now his maunam is going on. He can't speak. So whatever the princess would ask, the answers would be given by one of those shishyas, the disciples of the guru. And naturally, because each one was expert in one branch of learning, right? So whatever questions she asked, there was an answer for everybody, everything. And then she thought, oh, the shishyas are so clever, so intelligent. How cleverer could be the guru? And therefore she said, okay, I'll marry you. They got married. But how long it takes to leak the truth? पोल खुलने में कितना समय लगता है? The same very night, पोल खुल गई. She came to know that, oh, he knows nothing. Then she criticized, condemned him for cheating, and you are worthless, you don't know anything. How dare you come here and marry me and this and that? A person, though he is a fool, a man, the male ego also, and that too criticized by a woman, very beautiful woman, he took it to heart. And he went outside the city to the Kali temple and said, I don't want to live anymore. I'm insulted like anything. It's utter humiliation. I can't take it anymore. And so I would want to die. And he just pulled the khadga from Devi's hand and wanted to behead himself. And Kali got pleased. All good stories. And just touched his tongue. Then this Ratnakara became Kalidasa. Kalyaha, Devyaha, Dasaha. So he became, in a moment, it was a transformation altogether. Now we are in the Adi Shankara Nilayam. I will tell you a similar story of this. Shankaracharya had 4 great shishyas, right? But one of them, Giri, was little dull. And Padmapada was very sharp, like Agnirvai Manavako. He was very sharp, like he was fiery. Now one day what happened? Shankaracharya was about to start the exposition and all shishyas are ready. But this Giri has gone to the river to wash Guru's clothes. He is not yet back. So they are all waiting. Then Padmapada said to Acharya, Bhagavan, why are you waiting? As it is, he is such a dull fellow. He is not going to understand what you are talking, right? So why don't you start? Let us not wait for him. He was little puffed up, arrogant of his knowledge also. And then Acharya realized 2 things I have to do. One is Garvaharana of this Padmapada. And secondly, this Giri has been serving me without asking a single question. He is with a samarpita bhava. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So what amount of seva he is putting in. So it is high time enlightenment should come. He should be Buddha. So while this Giri was coming back with the dried clothes of Acharya, he got a sakshatkara. And all are waiting here. And when he came, singing a beautiful Ashtaka, Vidita Khila Shastra Sudha Jaladve. And it was composed in the Totaka meter, and therefore he was named Totakacharya. So the transformation, it doesn't happen every time, step by step or gradually. It can happen in a moment. That moment was adhikaritva given to the person. Similar thing happened with Kalidasa. He got endowed with all the Shastras, all the lores, the Chaturdasha Vidyasthan. Then he came back to the princess and knocked the door. She is asking from inside, Asti kaschat vag visheshaha. Is there any difference in your Vani? You are such a fool person. You can't even articulate a single sentence, coherently. Asti kaschana vag visheshaha. And then the story goes from Asti, Kalidasa recited the entire Kumara Sambhava. Astyuttarasyam dishidig vibhage Himalayo nama nagadhirajaha Purva parauto yanidhi vagaiha Sitah prithivya iva manadanda. From Vak, from Kaschid, Asti Kaschit Vag Visheshaha Kaschid, he recited the entire Meghadyota, Kaschit Kanta, Viraha Guruna, Swadhikarat, Pramattaha, and all that. And from Vag Vishesha, he recited the most beautiful, and which is an illustration of his Parinata Pradnya, the epic called Raghuvansha, Vagarthaviva Samprukto. And then she was so happy. She was very pleased and she was ready to stay with him. But Kalidasa said, no, I won't stay with you. I can't treat you as my wife. You are as good as a guru to me. I can't be married to you. And the story goes on and on, saying that Kalidasa never married. And, but he used to go to the Vaishyas, the courtesans, and Vaishyas are not like the red light area of Mumbai, the Foras Road or something like that. But Vaishyas like Vasanta Sena, Vasanta Sena, a highly accomplished and Sangeeta, Nritya, Visharada courtesan, like the Apsaras in the Devaloka, the Vaishyas are here in the Prithvi Loka. So it is said that, he had a very good friend in Sri Lanka called Kumaradasa. So he went and was staying with one of such courtesans, in her house. And Kumaradasa got a news that Kalidasa has come here, but how to find him out? So he sent out a samasya, samasya. And that samasya was Kamale kamalotpattihi shruyate natu drishyate. The meaning is kamalotpattihi, the origination of a kamala from a kamala is heard but not seen by us. So the poets have to compose the second charana to make it a sensible, meaningful verse. Kamale kamalotpattihi shruyate natu drishyate. The courtesan came and told Kalidasa. In a flash of a second came the second line. Bale tava mukham bhojat kathamindi varadvayam. O Bale, O innocent girl, tava mukham bhojat, from your lotus-like face, how can I see the indi varadvayam, the two eyes which look like the petals of a lotus? So this is kamalotpatti from a mukha kamala. And the king had already promised lot of suvarna mudras as a reward for this. So the Vaishya in the, she was having that greed. So out of greed, she got Kalidasa killed and gave that samasya purti to Kumaradasa. Kumaradasa knew for certain this is not possible for any other poet but Kalidasa. He inquired of her and then she committed, she confided that she got Kalidasa killed. And it is said that Kumaradasa also killed himself in the pyre of Kalidasa. And people say, this place particular, I haven't been. I have been to Sri Lanka into 2016, but I haven't been to this place. This place is somewhere near Kandy in Sri Lanka, where they have a samadhi of Kalidasa and Kumaradasa together. What a beautiful story. So this just highlights the poetic skill of Kalidasa. No wonder he is known as Kavi Kula Guru Kalidasa. Another story. I'm in the mood of telling stories today, okay? So another story is like, there was once a counting going on. Who are the great poets in India? Okay. And who is the great poet? Number one, of course, Kalidasa. Pura Kavinam Ganana Prasange Kanishthika Adhishthita Kalidasa. Kanishthika was adhishthita by the name of Kalidasa. Kanishthika Adhishthita Kalidasa. And then they are thinking, who else, if not superior, at least equal to Kalidasa? They could find none. Therefore, Adhyapi, even today, Tattulya, equivalent to him, equal to him, Kavehe Abhavat, due to the lack of a poet equal to him in caliber, Anamika Sarthavati Babhuva. Anamika, the second finger, which is called ring finger, is called Anamika in Sanskrit. Why it is Anamika? Kanishthika got the name of Kalidasa, but this did not get a name of any other poet, and therefore it is Anamika, anonymous, no, unnamed. That is the greatness of Kalidasa. You know, now this Kalidasa composed so many works. I'll give you a list of some works of Kalidasa. You will be astonished to see, you know, there are some 39 works. And how many works we know of? Only 7. It's a Vibhyor, Saptarangi Dhanushya. 39 works go in the name of some Kalidasa, not our Kalidasa. Our Kalidasa has written 7 compositions, but there are 39 works, and you will be amazed to see even the names of those. Of course, Shakuntala, Vikramorvashiya, Malavikagnimitram, then Raghuvansha Kumara Sambhava, Meghaduta, Ritu Samhara, Kunteshwara Dautyam, Ambastava, Kalyanastava, Kali Stotra, Kavyanatakalankaraha, Gangashtaka, Ghatakarpara, Chandika Dandaka Stotra, Charchastava, Jyotirvidabharana, Durghatakavya, Nalodaya, Navaratnamala, Mangalashtaka, Lakshmistava, Rakshasastava, Ratnakosha, Laghustava, so on and so forth. We haven't even heard of this. One more work is there, Shringara Tilaka. Many people ascribe that to Kalidasa. Some of the verses are very fine. I may quote 1 or 2 sometimes. So, but these 39 works, a single poet, of course, Shakespeare also wrote so many dramas. It's not impossible. But if you look the quality of all these works may not even be available. Ghatakarpara, I have read. Shringara Tilaka, I have read. But then these are not matching the caliber, or, you know, what we call as internal evidences. Whatever phrases we come across, whatever stylistic, linguistic features we come across of Kalidasa, we don't find similar things in all these works. So therefore we conclude, these may not be by Kalidasa. There are certain people, you know, who feel that there may be three Kalidasas. And then Jayadeva had stated, Ekopi jiyate hanta. Even if one Kalidasa is living and we are to study his works, our lifetime is insufficient. Kimu Kalidasatrayam. What if we were to read three Kalidasas? But then some people, they have tried to say, you know, that there may be 3 Kalidasas. One Kalidasa perhaps wrote all the dramas. Malavikagnimitram, Vikramorvashiya, Shakuntala, in the same order. The chronology also the same. There could be one Kalidasa who wrote the 2 epics. Raghukare, ka iha raghukare naramate. there goes a saying in the critics, who cannot enjoy in the work of Raghukara, Raghuvamshakara. So Raghukumaro, these two epic poems, Mahakavye. So that must be another Kalidasa. And all these, like miscellaneous thing. But how can you keep Meghaduta in that miscellaneous thing? People say Meghaduta, Rutu Samvara, and Shrungara Tilaka, Gatakarpara, etc., etc., etc. That must be another Kalidasa. This is very, I'm not going into detail of the date and the place and the criticism against this and that, but at least those who are reading Kalidasa should at least know about a few, like general hypotheses about Kalidasa, right? So where was he born and when was he born? He is such a great poet. So people would be curious to know about the time and place of his, and his childhood or whatever, his life and all these. So we go to the internal evidences. And when we go to the internal evidences, we see in Raghuvamsha, he has talked about so many places, especially in the Digvijaya Yatra of King Raghu, in the 6th Sarga of Raghuvamsha. Meghaduta, for example, gives an entire geography from Ramagiri to Alaka, the northern part, of course, not the southern part. And but where is that Ramagiri? Ramagiri, is it Ramtek near Nagpur, where the Kavi Kulaguru Kalidasa Sanskrit University is established some 20 years back, right? And they claim that this is the place where Kalidasa belonged to. Or whether this Ramagiri is somewhere in the Madhya Pradesh, in the thick woods of Vindhyas, because the description which comes, and even in the Meghaduta, the description is not of a hillock, it's of a high mountain, whereas Ramtek is a hillock. It's not a mountain, it's a hill, So looking at all these, what you can say, anomalies or contradictions, some people say this must be somewhere Ramgarh ke Shole, Ramgarh in the Vindhyas in the Madhya Pradesh. So there are so many opinions. So looking at the geographical things, he has described Ujjaini at length in Meghaduta. And that too, when Ujjaini doesn't fall in the straight path of the cloud from Ramagiri to Alaka, Vakrah Pantha Yadapi Bhavataha. Even if you have to take a detour, please go and visit Ujjaini. Why he is so passionate about Ujjaini? Maybe he belonged to Ujjaini. Okay. Now coming to Malavikagnimitram, this is the drama Agnimitra, Pushyamitra. Kalidasa calls him Pushpamitra. The name occurs as Pushyamitra in the historical data, in the Puranas, in the Patanjali's Mahabhashya. Iha khalu Pushyamitram yajayamaha. Patanjali says in his Mahabhashya, 1st century BCE. So he was a Samsthapaka of the Shunga dynasty, Pushyamitra. So Pushyamitra, Agnimitra, Vasumitra, these are all historical figures. And Pushyamitra and Agnimitra was a Vidisheshwara. He was the king of Vidisha, Madhya Pradesh, Malava region. The princess Malavika is from Malwa region, Madhya Pradesh. So Vidisha, Madhya Pradesh could be his town, or this could be his town. Again, some people feel, no, he has described Himalayas so beautifully. If he hasn't seen Himalaya, he won't be able to describe it. Himalaya in the Kumara Sambhava, Himalaya in the Meghaduta, so many places he has described. So he must belong to Kashmir. Kashmir Rajasya Katutapi Nitanta Ramya. That is another sukti from Malavikagnimitram. So unless he is, very familiar with the atmosphere, he won't be able to describe that at length. And Billhana, in his Vikramanka Deva Charita, he writes, For example, now, if Kavita, not this Kavita, Kavita, the poetry, if she is a Kamini, then all the poets, the glorious poets, they form some part or some vilasa of that Kavita. Bhaso hasaha, Kavi Kulaguruhu Kalidaso vilasaha. So, Kavi Kulaguru Kalidasa is called Kavita Kamini Vilasa. Using the same term, Billhana, the Kashmirian poet who wrote Vikramanka Deva Charita, he wrote, Sahodara Kunkuma Kesaranam Bhavanti Noonam Kavita Vilasaha Na Sharada Desham Apasya Drishtaha Tesham Yadanyatra Maya Prarohaha. Sharada Desham Apasya, leaving aside Sharada Desha. Sharada Desha, where the Sharada Peetha is there, where Shankaracharya ascended the Sarvajna Peetha at Sharada, Namaste Sharade Devi, Kashmir Puravasini, Tvamaham Prarthaye Nityam Vidyadanancha Dehime. So, Apasya Sharada Desham, Na Drishtaha Tesham Prarohaha. I don't think that Tesham, like Kavi Kulaguru Kalidasa Vilasa, such a great poet, their Praroha, his origin cannot happen anywhere besides Sharada Desh. So people claim him to be Sharada Deshiya, right? Now some people looking at his name Kalidasa, where is Kali worshipped most? Bengal, Kali Ghat. So he belongs to us. The great people, they belong to the entirety. They are not, confined to any particular region. They cross all the barriers of geographical boundaries. Kalidasa is one such example. Everybody claims him to be, he belongs to us. He belongs to us. He belongs to us, except perhaps South India. But then, because most of his descriptions belong to the northern part of India. Okay. So Kalidasa's place we don't know of. Now about the time. There are so many things about Kalidasa. The famous theory is, he is one of the 9 gems of King Vikramaditya, right? Navaratneshu Navaratnanam Ekaha Dhanvantari Kshapanaka Amarasimha Shanku Vetala Bhatta Ghatakarpara Kalidasaha Khyato Varaha Mihiro Nripatehe Sabhayam Ratnani Vai Vararuchir Navavikramasya. So Vikramasya Nripatehe Navaratnani. And in those Navaratna, he is listed along with Ghatakarpara, along with Varaha Mihira. Varaha Mihira, we know for sure he is 6th century CE. So can Kalidasa be put in that era? Now, if you go internally, the Kumara Sambhava, Kumara could have been the Sambhava, the birth of Kumara Gupta of the Gupta dynasty. So Chandragupta II, who had the title Vikramaditya, then his son Skandagupta, then his son Chandragupta, then Samudragupta, then Kumaragupta. Yeah. So he belonged to the Gupta dynasty. Secondly, the society which he depicts throughout all his works, which is like Nritya, Sangeeta, Kala, Visharada, Naipunya and all that. The social factors where the courtesans were highly regarded. The society where Buddhism also had high respect, because in Malavikagnimitram, this drama itself, we have a Buddhist monk, Buddhist nun, Parivrajika Gautami. She is in the court of Agnimitra. So there is equal treatment to Hindu religion or the Buddhist religion. So this took place during the Gupta era known as the golden era of India. And whatever picture we get of the society is free from invasions and all that. So this must be Gupta era. Secondly, the Guptas defeated the Hunas And we have in Malavikagnimitram also, on the Sindhu Tira, Vasumitra, the son of Agnimitra, fighting against the Yavanas and defeating them. Raghu fighting against the Yavanas and the Hunas and defeating them. So all these things, they construe that he must have belonged to the Gupta era. But another thing is like, for example, he has mentioned Agnimitra, Pushyamitra, etc. And history tells us that Pushyamitra founded the Shunga dynasty in 185 before the Common Era, 2nd century BCE. Now, after Pushyamitra, his son was enthroned. His son Agnimitra became king. And we have a list of the kings. They ruled for some 100 and odd years, the Shunga dynasty. Basically, this Pushyamitra was the Senapati of King Brihadratha, who was the last of the Mauryan kings. Chandragupta Maurya, not Chandragupta the Gupta, Chandragupta the Maurya. And he was the last of the Mauryas. And he was like inert and very passive, was not at all dynamic. So the Senapati revolted against him. He got him killed and ascended and started ruling himself. So that is the story which is historically proven. So if we look at that, then there is a gap of 4 or 5 centuries. And if Kalidasa has written his very first work, Malavika, most likely, most probably, he was a contemporary of Agnimitra. And if that is so, then he belongs to the BCE, not CE. Right? And that makes sense because Agnimitra was not that valorous king like Dileepa or Pushyamitra. He was more of a Dhira Lalita and Dhirodatta combination. So if Agnimitra is made a hero in the very first drama, see, the very first drama, the poet will be a struggling person. He is sort of doing his internship at proving himself. He wants to prove his credentials. When he wrote Raghuvansha, when he wrote Abhijnana Shakuntalam, he is like well established by now. But the first ever maiden composition of a poet, everybody is struggling, isn't it? And therefore, he would write on such a person who is known to people. And if he writes on the king, his patron, it will be well received by the people because the king only will support it, is it not? Normally, if you get a Rajashraya, nothing like it. Banabhatta got a Rajashraya of Harshavardhana of Vardhana dynasty, right? So like that, if you get Bharavi, for example, got Rajashraya of the Pallava dynasty. So if you get a Rajashraya, then you are well received by the people, Yatha Raja, Tatha Praja. Therefore, it is quite likely that he must have been in the 1st or 2nd century BCE, and he must have been a contemporary of Agnimitra. Another document, another evidence for that, in Meghaduta, we come across a verse where, it is described Nichaihi Parvata, and that Nichaihi Parvata is equivalent to Udayagiri in Odisha, near Puri, Udayagiri. Now, Udayagiri has so many caves in that, and Meghaduta mentions those caves, and those caves were used by the youth, for the what is that Surata Kriya with the Vaishyas and with some other girls, at night time. It is like a secret Surata Kriya, and the caves were used for that. Now, the caves, if you have visited Udayagiri, I have visited Udayagiri, so I know for certain, the Udayagiri caves, after the Kharavel Jain king and all, the caves got the murtis or the vigrahas. Especially there is a very beautiful Varaha murti, sculpted in the Udayagiri caves. But that was sculpted. We have epigraphs and inscriptions on rock inscriptions there. They were carved in the Gupta period. If there is an adhisthana of a deity, can anyone have the courage to have the Surata Kriya in front of the god? No, it is not permissible in our custom, in our religion, in our Sanatana Dharma. No, because all people are God-fearing. If they are having some secret pleasures, they are hiding from the society, they would hide in such a place which is uninhabited by anybody, not even by gods. And therefore, the caves must be vacant at that time. This theory is proposed by Prabhakar Narayan Kauthekar. He was a great scholar, he is no more, Prabhakar P.N. Kauthekar, and he belonged to Madhya Pradesh. So he has himself gone and researched all this, and this was one of his theories, which I feel is very logical. And therefore, if you believe in that, again, Kalidasa could be pushed back to the BCE and not the CE theory. Okay, so these are various like theories. So either the 1st or 2nd century BCE, or the Gupta period, 5th century AD, or some people say it is Kumaragupta, so 6th century CE. So these are basically the 3 main, dates for Kalidasa. For us, we are not critical analyzers of the date and place. For us, what Kalidasa wrote is more important, and how we can relish, because we are here for Rasaswada, right? But nonetheless, we should have at least some idea about this, and therefore all this prapancha I wanted to do. Now let us go to another story. Time for a story. Banta hai, right? So, Kalidasa, we have a work called Bhoja Prabandha by Ballala Sena. Bhoja Prabandha by Ballala Sena. And people say that he was a contemporary of Bhoja. That is 7th century, where Dandi was also there. And Dandi is regarded as a great poet. For example, if you know the very famous verse in the Sanskrit critics, Upama Kalidasasya Bharaver Artha Gauravam Dandinaha Padalalityam Maghe Santi Trayogunaha. So Dandinaha Padalalityam. Though Dandi wrote only one work, I mean there are 3 works, but one work is more famous, Dashakumara Charita. So he is equated somewhere for the poetic qualities with Dandi. Now, Dandi belongs much later, but people bring them together. People have brought Dandi and Kalidasa together. People have brought Bhoja and Kalidasa also together. We see these 2 anecdotes and then we proceed. So Kalidasa and Dandi both were, vying for mutual superiority. And they approached Saraswati, Ma Saraswati, and asked, who is the better poet? Who is the best poet? And Saraswati said, Kavir Dandi, Kavir Dandi, Kavir Dandi na samshaya. Kavi is only Dandi. Dandi, Dandi, Dandi. Na samshaya, no doubt. Kalidasa got upset. Then he asked, then who am I? Who am I? Then Saraswati said, Tvamevaham na samshaya. You are but me. There is no doubt about it. So if you think of the poets, it is Dandi. If you think of Saraswati herself, it is Kalidasa. Okay? What beautiful way, whosoever composed this, so beautifully he has underlined and highlighted the greatness of Kalidasa. Similarly, he is put across Bhoja, because of Bhoja Prabandha. There are so many stories. One I will say. The story tells that Bhoja himself, caused a rumor, that Bhoja has passed away. It was a rumor, but he himself was responsible for that. So when Kalidasa came to know about it, about Bhoja's demise, he said, Adyadhara Niradhara Niralamba Saraswati. Dhara Nagari. He is called Dhara Naresha. Bhoja king is Dhara Naresha. So Kalidasa offhand he just exclaimed, Adya dhara niradhara. Dhara has become without any adhara. Niralamba Saraswati. Saraswati also has become without any substratum, nobody to depend upon, nobody to rely upon. Pandita Khandita Sarve Bhojaraje Divangate. When Bhojaraja went to the heavenly abode, Panditaha, Khanditaha, nobody to, no connoisseur is left out. So the Panditya is gone. Pandita Khandita Sarve. So Bhoja himself came in disguise there, And then when he heard this verse, he revealed himself and he wanted to see the reaction of Kalidasa. Kalidasa, impromptu, composed another verse. Adyadhara Sadadhara. Adyadhara Sadadhara. Sadalamba Saraswati. Always Saraswati will have alambana in the form of Bhoja king. Panditaha Manditas Sarve. Panditas will be, Manditaha, they will get their own accolades, their honors and the rewards. Bhojaraje Bhavam Gate. When Bhuvam Gate, when Bhojaraja is ruling on this earth. What we mean to highlight, whosoever Ballada Sena has done it, highlighting the Ashukavitva of this great poet. The same meter, the same words, only with a twist of the upasargas, what wonders it can create. That is the wonder Sanskrit is. It is not possible with any other language but Sanskrit. So, Adyadhara Sadadhara. So, this is few things about Kalidasa. Now, he wrote 3 dramas, we say. And we will look into the dramas of Kalidasa. Of course, when we read Mahakavi Bhasa, those were the one-act plays, very small ones. Karnabharam with only 25, the others were like 45, 58, such verses. So we could read word by word. I'm afraid Malavikagnimitram with 5 acts. This is the work edited by M.R. Kale for you people who want to read Malavikagnimitram. For English translation, M.R. Kale is the best edition. I have 2 more Hindi also. One is Dr. Ramashankar Pandeya, Malavikagnimitram by Ramashankar Pandeya. He has written the Sanskrit commentary as well as Hindi commentary on that. And another is very nice, which I had referred for Bhasa also, Professor Ramchandra Mishra from Muzaffarpur, and he has given the commentary of Katyavema called Prakasha. Prakasha, the Sanskrit commentary, and the Hindi commentary by Ramchandra Mishra ji. So there are various translations and editions available. You can download any edition from the internet and learn for yourself. There is an edition of Malavikagnimitram, if I mistake not, by S.N. Gajendra Gadkar. S.N. Gajendra Gadkar. When I studied Malavikagnimitram in 1969, I had referred to that edition, S.N. Gajendra Gadkar's edition. There is one more by P.N. Upadhyay and G.H. Godbole. So there are plenty of books. There is no dearth of books on Malavikagnimitram. So 3 dramas of Kalidasa. Now, when we come to drama, I think we have seen it. I don't remember what was the first lecture when we started Ola on 5th June 2022. I started with, I think, general a review of classical Sanskrit literature, the 14 gems from that, and I started with Bhasa. I'm not sure whether I did, from the Natyasastra point of view or the Dasarupaka point of view, and therefore a brief for that on that, because I want you to study and know that Malavikagnimitram is the first ever maiden kriti of Kalidasa, and he follows all the rules and regulations stipulated in Natyasastra, and later on they are again given in the Dasarupaka also, okay? So, of course, Dasarupaka is a later work, but Natyasastra should be an earlier thing. So, drama is, if you divide the entire Sanskrit literature into some like broad categories, it will be the Drishya Kavya and Shravya Kavya. Drishya Kavya, that the Kavya which is seen, which is enacted. So Drishya Kavya has all the dramas. And Shravya Kavyas again will have certain, like the prose and the poetry and the champu. So there will be so many varieties in that, sub-varieties in that. So Drishya Kavya, in Drishya Kavya, Natyasastra says why a drama is so important and why drama, how and why drama was created. Natya Veda was created by Brahma, taking help from all the four Vedas. Jagraha Pathyam Rigvedat, Yajurvedat Abhinayan, then Sangeeta from the Gandharvam, from the Samaveda, and Rasan Atharvanadapi. So what is the major portion of a Natya is some text. There has to be some dialogues, right? So there is some text. Then there is Abhinaya, because it's a drama, Drishya, there has to be Abhinaya, acting. Then there has to be Rasa and Sangeeta and all that. Okay. So Sangeeta comes from Samaveda and the Rasa comes from Atharva Veda. And therefore Natya Veda becomes the fifth Veda. Natya Vedo Panchamo Veda. Sometimes we feel Itihasa Purano Nama Panchamo Veda. So it differs. I mean, this is all giving Natyasastra the antiquity and authenticity of the Veda, Veda Pramanya. So all the later dramatists have to follow the rules and regulations stipulated by Bharata in his Natyasastra. So the Nataka is Loka Vrittanukaranam. Loka Vritta Anukaranam, and it has to be Vishranti Jananam Loke Natyametad Bhavishyati. This is to give a recreation, a diversion, a solace, something, a deviation from your day-to-day work. That is called drama. And the drama, if it is to be relished by one and all, then the vritta, the itivritta or the plot should be known so that people can relate to it, people can know about it, and therefore it has to be khyata vritta. And because of that khyata vrittatva, normally all the Sanskrit dramas are based on Ramayana, Mahabharata, Purana, or the local, what you can say, the common mass of stories like Udayana Katha. They are common mass of stories. So it is a Kalpita Katha, more of a fiction, but it comes through, like Kauchi Uchi Goshta in Marathi. It comes down from traditions like that. Now, based on the rasa, based on the number of characters, based on the plot, based on the theme, the Drishya Kavya is divided into 10 different varieties, and therefore it is called Dasha Rupaka. Rupaka is that which can be seen. Rupyate, Alokyate, Drishyate, iti. Okay. So Dasha Rupaka, 10 varieties of the drama which can be witnessed. And these are like Prakarana. These are like Nataka, which is 5 to 9 acts. Malavikagnimitram is a Nataka. Shakuntalam is a Nataka. Then the hero, Datta hero, and Dhira Lalita, and Veera or Shrungara should be one of the rasa, all that thing. Then Prakarana, having more than 9 acts, that is 10 acts. And the story is like imaginary story. For example, Mritchakatika. For example, Malati Madhava, which is Prakarana. Then Bhana, it is 1 act play. It is Kalpita and Veera Shrungara Rasa. Chaturbhani, there is a collection of 4 bhanas in one. Then Prahasana, it is Matta Vilasa Prahasana. It is a Mishra, Brahmana, Tapasvi, Vita, etc., etc. Then Dima, it has 4 acts. Deva, Danava, Yaksha, Gandharva, and Raudra Rasa, Veera Rasa. Tripuradaha is a Dima. Then Vyayoga, we thought and we studied Vyayoga called Madhyama Vyayoga, Bhasa's play. Then Samavakara, it is Adbhuta Rasa, Amrita Manthana, that play. Then Vithi, it is a Kalpita Vastu, Shrungara Rasa. one act and one or two actors only. Then Anka or Utsrishtikanka, it is Mishra Vastu, like Karnavaharam. Karnavahara is based on epic, but the poet has taken his own licenses and liberties. And Karunarasa, we know how Karunya underlines the entire Karnavaharam. Then Ihamruga, which has a Raudra Rasa. And the drama needs to have, Itivritta, that is the plot. Then the Neta, that is the actor. Neta includes Naika also. So Neta is a masculine word. The Nayika, Nayaka, and other characters, they are a part of that, and Rasa. Vastu, Neta, Rasa. These are the three main constituents of any drama. Vastu forms its body and Rasa forms its soul. Raso vai Atma. Rasa is the Atma and the Vastu is the Sharira. Itivrittam hi Shariram Natyasya. So that is called the Sharira. Now there are the types of heroes like Dhiro Datta, Dhira Lalita, Dhiro Dhata, and Dhira Shanta. So we'll analyze these according to whichever drama we take. Then the Nayika is Sviya, Parakiya, or Sadharana. Sviya is like Sita ji in Uttara Ramacharita. Rama and Sita are married. This is the later half of Ramacharitra. So she is Sviya Nayika. Parakiya, not yet married, a maiden. Malavikagnimitram, Malavika, yet to get married with Agnimitra. Shakuntala, yet to get married with Dushyanta. They are Parakiya. Okay. And then Sadharana, like Vasantasena, a common stree, like Vasantasena in Charudatta or Mrichakatika. And then Raso Vaisaha, Rasa, basically, what is Rasa? Varna Viparyaya Sarana Deva Raso Bhavati. Sru Sarati is the verb. See how beautifully the word also comes into existence. Rasa is, the essence of everything. And it reaches the sublimity from the mundane level to the transcendental level, because in Taittiriya Upanishad it is stated, Raso Vaisaha. The Parabrahma or the Atma is equated with Rasa. He is the essence of everything, right? Raso Vaisaha. And this Rasa, this Ananda, this is basically the Sahityananda or Kavyananda, but the commentators, you read Abhinava Gupta, Abhinava Bharati, the commentary on Natyasastra, and you read Mammata's Kavya Prakasha, Rasa is called to be Brahmananda Sahodara. Rasa is like, Sahodara, born together with Brahmananda. Brahma with Brahmaiva Bhavati. What type of relish, what type of enjoyment and blissful condition he would be experiencing? Similar condition a connoisseur or a rasika enjoys after seeing the drama. When he comes out of the theater, goes home, for after that also that rasa is, it's all pervading, it envelops his entire personality, and he is, immersed in that rasa for many days and sometimes many months and years together. One rasa is enough for us. Just, charavanat. You keep on remembering it, relishing it, re-relishing it. It is like ruminating the cows. They ruminate, the grass which they eat, and they ruminate it, they chew it again and again and again so that the rasa comes out. You remember that smarana, it leads to charvana, and therefore charvana rasaha. The more you relish it, the more rasa you can experience. So this is about the rasa. And then we go to this Malavikagnimitram. Malavikagnimitram, I think the time is running out now. So maybe we'll start it next time, but I'll give you an idea of what I'm going to do in the next class. What are the sources of this Malavikagnimitram? When we studied Bhasa's plays, we saw that in Karnabhara, the play is based on Mahabharata, and what are the deviations. in Urubhanga, or in Duta Ghatotkacha, or in Madhyama Vyayoga again, all Mahabharata plays we took. And what are the deviations? What are the creations of Mahakavi Bhasa that we saw? Now here, we don't have a historical framework as such of Agnimitra. We know these characters are historical, but the storyline is not historical. The story might be invented, imagined to be so by Kalidasa, taking help of some historical figures. So in the next lecture, we'll see the sources, how and if Malavikagnimitram is a historical play or an imaginary play. And maybe I will tell you the brief storyline, because I feel 5 acts reading word by word will take me the entire life. I mean, it will be too much of a time, then I won't be able to do justice to the other dramas of Kalidasa. So I will go on reading the important dialogues, the prose, conversational things, and the verses, important verses. But the storyline, if I tell you in short, I think you should do some Swadhyaya. Because as goes the famous Subhashita, Acharya Padamadatte. What Acharya tells you, what the teacher teaches you is only 1 quarter. Padam Shishya Swamedhaya. Another quarter, the Shishya studies on his own, Swadhyaya. You all have to come out with Swadhyaya. And then don't hesitate asking questions. There will be a doubt clarification session sometime later, okay? And the other pada, the 4th one, Acharyat Padamadatte, Padam Shishyaha Swamedhaya, Padam Sabrahmacharibhyaha, Chaturtham Kalena Vindati. The 4th pada will come only as the time passes on. You have to mull over it. You have to think over it. It is not just Shravana, it is Manana. Yukti Yuktam Mananam, and then Nididhyasana, which gives you the 4th part, which becomes the holistic, complete picture. Otherwise, at least 3 parts we are sure to get. If you are not doing the experiential lesson, you are not getting, then 4th you may miss. As time passes by, some lofty ideas are there, strewn all around these 5 acts, all through the 5 acts. So I wish that you would do that Swadhyaya, you would do some group discussions and come up with the questions. And I am here to help you wherever you need me. So with this, let me close. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.